This is the Simulation Football League presented by the SFL and Cameron Irvine. Welcome to Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Tyler Falk alongside Alden Bleeker. It's Chicago coming to town and looking to right the ship and keep their slim playoff hopes alive with the waning moments of the season rolling into view. And meanwhile, it's the Toros looking to keep pace with the Mexico City Aztecs atop the South Division. And once again, welcoming in Alden Bleeker into the booth. Alden, let's talk about these two squads. Fort Worth clearly looks better on paper, but we've already seen some craziness earlier here on this Friday the 13th.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a day where anything can happen. There's some freaky energy in the air. And look, you know, Fort Worth are looking to lock down that playoff spot. They've made the playoffs the last 4 seasons. They're looking very strong, especially with their tiebreakers. And Chicago looking to rescue their season. Any scenario that involves them getting a playoff spot involves them winning out. And they're going to look to right the ship in that sense starting tonight.
Toros in their all navy, Chicago in their whites with gold trim as we are set for kickoff here after a week break for most of the SFL, including these two teams, as here we go. And week 10 is underway, only 5 weeks remaining in season 23 as the opening kickoff is taken down for a touchback by Kyle Finnemore. And that'll see us enter onto the field, the Chicago offense led by quarterback Ty Patak, who... well, he tried to do the best job he could last week. Unfortunately, it led to no points. They were blanked by the Mexico City Aztecs, 20-0. As Patak fires opening salvo over the middle to around the 37-yard line to Ryan Arlovsky for an easy first down to begin the day.
Yeah, and that's really how you want to start out. Just a nice little corner out there, just opening up the coverage, and Ty Patak doing a great job to place it.
That Warrior offense, aside from Patak and Arlovsky at halfback, it's Norman Gusgus. Halfback as well, J.W. Doyle with fullback Dean Jackson. Wide receivers apart from Arlovsky are Kyle Finnemore, Buchanan Simons, and John Fullerton. Tight end is Paulie Truth, and on the line, Sean Sullivan, Matty Mack, Kobe Beef, Jess Fullerton, Gal Raza, and that one was nearly hauled in by Fullerton, could not haul it in traffic.
Yeah, and that's the kind of pass John Fullerton definitely can pull in. It was a really good pass over the middle. Just one of those passes that kind of hits you in the hands, and you look down as a receiver, you're like, oh man, I should have had that.
We'll touch on the Toro defense. We have a spare moment as Fullerton goes in motion toward the near side, I-form behind Patak. And he will look to pass, looking middle, caught on the run. Kyle Finnemore down to near the Toro 45-yard line. It's the passing attack, which is going much more smoothly already for Patak than last week.
Yeah, and not only that, but they're really spreading the ball around. So far, we've seen Kyle Finnemore targeted, we've seen Ryan Arlovsky targeted, we've seen John Fullerton targeted in a pass that hit him in the hand. So, you know, really the variety of the passing attack for Chicago is much improved as well.
2 for 3 at the moment. 6 out of the last 8 games for Ty Patak. He has only completed in those 6 out of 8 games, he completed under 80 or 50% of his passes, as that run, much like last week for the Warriors, goes backward a few yards. Good penetration through the middle by E.K. Vincent, the middle linebacker. His friends on defense are Jeff Duffy, Jerry Degon, and Luther Gahn on the line. Sonny Sky and Dexter Jackson pile along on side. Vincent on the linebacker front, Tobias Gordon, Adam Leach, and Aiden Davis on the corners with that pass going over the numbers. On the right-hand side to Arlovsky, will move the chains for a good pickup of maybe 15 yards. And rounding out that Toro defense is Delaney Nash and Bedstone at safety.
Yeah, and again, it's the passing up the middle that really seems to be the trick for Chicago so far today, doing a good job of running these routes and sort of spacing in between the coverage.
It was already the 4th pass attempt for Patak already early in the game. All of them, all the completions, those 3, have gone for more than 15 yards. Late handoff, trying to get through the middle, but the Toros defense is up to the task once again. Doyle goes backward 2 more yards.
Yeah, and again, it's the tackle. It's these tackles right in the start of the run, blowing them up. Both of the tackles on a runner have been tackles for loss here so far.
This defense for the Toros really loves getting home to fight off the run. They're in the top 15. They only allow just over 100 yards a game on the ground. It's the passing defense, which is strong, but it's quickly showing more cracks in its armor already as Patak again finds Fenimore.
Yeah, already well over 50 yards this drive for Patak, and you see it there, 72 passing yards on this drive. They are really leaning on him heavy, which can be sometimes a double-edged sword. If you've got one player that's really, really on fire, it makes a target for the other team. But, I mean, if he's going to continue to march down the field doing it, they'll ride him for as long as they can.
Rolling out, Patak toward the middle, one-handed snag, John Fullerton, touchdown, Chicago!
This is the kind of offensive drive Chicago need. This is the kind of drive that they need. In my notes leading into this game, I said that, you know, you got to ride the bull for 8 seconds, as it were. You got to tough it out as Chicago. You know, your defense hasn't exactly been the best in the league. And so you got to do what you can on offense to give your boys on defense a chance to work. And that is just a picture-perfect first drive for Chicago.
And that gets Chicago on the board first tonight. Extra point is up and good from Christian Ronald Suey. And it's an 8-play, 79-yard drive, which is a good one for Chicago. It takes off nearly 3 minutes off the game clock. And now it's the hometown Toros who will get a shot to answer. And the kick will be taken down for another touchback. This time the Toros will touch it down. That's Marcus Knight. The Toros who knee down and out trots Marcus Dunhill. For Marcus Dunhill, it's also not been the season to remember. First 2 games of the season, he had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. Since, no touchdowns, 10 interceptions. However, he threw the ball pretty well last week against the Houston Headhunters, completing over 70% of his passes and leading to a couple of Jay-Z Bacon touchdowns. However, Jay-Z Bacon, the aforementioned runner, goes back 3 yards. So both defenses stepping up earlier in the run defense here, Alden.
And honestly, I would love to see this turn into a quarterback duel. I mean, you got Ty Patak, Marcus Dunhill, 2 experienced and frequently quite explosive quarterbacks.
Dunhill having to roll and look over the middle. Caught for a gain of nearly 14 yards to Cade Stevens.
Well, how about tip your hat to Cade Stevens, not only for this great catch up the middle here, but also his great athleticism, his core strength to hold on to the ball and carry it across the line through the air there. Just does a great job to pick up some RAC yards, a little more ballet style there.
And off we'll go for positive yards this time. Our first positive run of the game goes for 7 to the fullback Aaron Alexander, who partners along Jay-Z Bacon in the backfield at halfback. Wide receivers are Henry McGee, Cade Stevens, and Stephen Hacker, with the tight ends being Robert Garrett Jr. and James Jennings, who is inactive tonight. And on the line, it's Emilio Panda, Gordo Enorme, and Frank Burks. Dunhill under center, I formation behind him, and the Chicago defense gets home for another loss on the play. Finishing off, Aaron Alexander was Doug Day.
Well, and it's really been tough to run all day long. That 7-yard run was the first successful run all day, but before that, 4 passes, went backwards, or four runs rather.
Dunhill rolling here on 3rd down to the logo. Caught Stevens with a brilliant move up through the hashes inside the 10 and brought down near the 4-yard line. And just like that, the Toros are in the red zone and knocking on the end zone.
Well, who needs the trench warfare run game when, oh man, just breaks the ankles of his first man and then turns on the speed. Nothing but green grass in front of him. Frankly, got to give credit to the cornerback, the safety for Chicago for even catching up with them. But man, that is so huge for Fort Worth.
61 yards is Bacon. First positive carry of the game is about 3 yards. And unfortunately, injured on the play is number 90, Darko Young, one of the starting defensive ends for Chicago.
Yeah, and that's really something that you can't afford. Your defense has already been struggling. You really don't want to see any of your pieces go down, especially so early in the game.
One of the team leaders in sacks for the Chicago defense. Besides Sean Parrott, he was the only member of the defensive line to contribute with a sack this season up to this point. Handoff, and Bacon maybe dove too early, and another injury, another defensive end, P. Fudor. Back-to-back plays, back-to-back defensive linemen go down.
Oh, and this is the nightmare scenario if you're Chicago. I mean, he's getting up on off the field under his own power, which is very good to see. But oh man, and you saw it early in this game how they were really sending the pressure to stifle the run of Fort Worth. You almost wonder if having these defensive ends down for however long they may be, if that really opens up the run game for Fort Worth.
Roll out, Dunhill trying to take it himself and slides into the end zone like he's sliding into home base. Touchdown, Toros. They're an extra point from tying up this game.
Shades of the great Jameis Winston, not only with the football skills, but the baseball skills as well. And just as we were talking about how the run game might potentially open up for Fort Worth, just decides to tuck and run. Nothing's really opening up. I'm just going to take this into the end zone myself. A little slide into home just for a little bit of extra style points.
How about this here, Alden? With that run, only 7 yards gained on the ground by one Aaron Alexander. The rest combined contribute to a net gain of 0, but they still march down the field courtesy of a 60-yard touchdown setting up reception to Cade Stevens. And we are back level again.
And that was just such a great pass that set it up exactly as you said for Fort Worth. And you never want to see anyone go down, but it really did set up the run options for Fort Worth. We're going to have to see how they develop those going further into this game.
Cal Finnemore on the return. Set all the way up to roughly his 25-yard line. And that is where Chicago will take over here after a pretty good opening drive there, Alden. They mixed a little bit of the run, tried to get the run game going, but it was the passing attack which really solidified their march down the field.
Yeah, that's really the one thing that I think they would maybe complain about if they could, is the fact that they weren't really able to get the run game going. But if you can pass well, who needs these outside handoffs, right?
Go to the air again to begin the drive. That one's taken away, and busting through defenders is Dexter Jackson. Whoa, out of nowhere, the Toros flip a switch on defense and get to type attack.
Yeah, and man, that is just such a great job we're going to see here again, just lurking in the middle of the field and diagnosing the coverage, and good things happen when he does that. Man just shoves his man to the turf there for emphasis.
Now they're set up in a really good starting field position for their offense from the Chicago 22.
With those two big defensive ends down as well. I mean, it's and keeping them the defense on their back heel.
Four-man rush, and that one is also picked. Oh my goodness, talk about a front of the 13th. No one wants to keep the football. They want to score on the first drive continuously, but then they give the ball right back to each other.
Friday the 13th, SFL After Dark, you're going to see things happen like this, folks. An interception returned in kind in Chicago. It's as if that interception basically never happened now.
Sabo Kanan with the interception for the Warriors as their offense, after taking a quick one-play break, they're back out on the field from their own 20-yard line. They try and run right side, but it looked like the play just couldn't get set up in time. That allows E.K. Vincent to get home and stop the run.
Man, and that is such a breath of relief for Chicago. Gave up amazing field position, and now all of a sudden they've got the ball back.
Went for a loss of 1. Here comes a second down play. That one fares no better, except to get back to the line of scrimmage.
And the run game really has not been there for Chicago. That is now the fifth. That is now the fifth run, or excuse me, rather the third run that has been stopped for a loss.
Trips off to Patak's right, looks that direction, caught at a 35-yard line, a pickup of 15, and a first down for John Fullerton.
Yeah, and again, it's just the ability of Marcus Dunhill to read the coverage. Double coverage is there, but not quite set, and so he's able to just place it in that tiny little mailbox-sized hole in the air.
There has not yet been a pass from Patak that has gone less than 10 yards. He has been doing a good job trying to air it out in this run game, trying desperately to get going. Doyle on the give this time for 4 yards.
Well, it took them 5 tries, but they do finally get off the starting block, and I think that sometimes can almost relieve sort of the jitters, you know, of getting that first one. It really kind of makes you feel more confident.
5 down linemen, possibly expecting a run. The Toros, then a floater right side, caught near the line to gain, but they'll say Fittimore was just a yard shy.
Yeah, and I think that could go that could go either way, but it's just another really good pitching catch toward the sideline. 3rd and 1 now here for the Warriors. And it's just a QB sneak with Patak, and he slides past midfield for a Chicago first down. Well, Ty Patak is not afraid to run, not afraid to do the baseball slides himself. Almost a little bit of a game of horse going on between these two quarterbacks athletically.
Second, third down conversion in as many third downs. Now they're 2 for 2 on third down. They're the league's worst in terms of third down conversions, but they're getting off on the right start here today as another running play goes backward.
Yeah, and that's really the thing. You've got such a tough defense on Fort Worth. I mean, consistently not allowing yards. They allow the 5th least yards per game, so it's so tough to get anything against them.
Back looking to throw, pumps once and rolls. Now uncorks it, and that one was nearly picked by Delaney Nash. That brings up 3rd and long.
Man, and that's another instance of getting hit in the hands, except on the opposite side of the ball. This time it was on defense, where you're like, oh man, if I have that.
Spread look now here from Patak. Coverage backs way off, expecting a patented Patak pass beyond 15 yards. 4-man rush flip out. First one that goes for less than 10 yards is 10 yards shy of a first down.
Yeah, and you certainly can't fault him for being, focusing on the RAC there. All on the go route, everything was covered downfield, but man, and that's a great stop for Fort Worth here. Our first punt of the evening is a good one. That will bounce inside the 10 and saunter its way into the end zone down for a touchback, and the Toros will start their 3rd drive of this football game on their own 20. Yeah, and we had some shenanigans with the interceptions. The interception fired back immediately with another interception, so that'll certainly be in the back mind of Fort Worth. But this is, the game's still tied. This is effectively a reset, I think, in their minds. You got to look at it that way and just start over.
And in motion is Hacker here on first down as a blitz is coming from Chicago. Pass underneath, caught by Robert Garrett Jr. for 9 yards.
And that's really something that we've been seeing from the Fort Worth receivers today is those, secondary athletic skills, the ability to stay up there and almost, man, that line is imaginary, but got so close to picking up the first down just by staying up and keeping the ball moving.
Only the second receiver to catch a pass, as that one is going to go for a good amount of yards. A first down for JZ Bacon, and that'll take us to the end of the quarter. It's a tie ball game, 7-7 here from the Stockyards here in Fort Worth, Texas. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. As we welcome you back to Fort Worth, Texas, I'm Tyler Falk alongside Alden Bleeker here in the booth. A special thanks to Rochelle Colston and Joshua Durr in the stats truck. And of course, our commissioner, Cameron Irvine, is our producer. And thank you for joining us here on Friday the 13th. Here for Week 10 SFL action as Dunhill looks to throw, looking middle. Caught at the 50-yard line by Hacker for a first down.
Man, and that is just a beautiful pitching catch by Fort Worth, and it's well designed here. You see the coverage but with the safeties is more downfield, so a great job reading the play by Marcus Dunhill to say, okay, well, these guys are pulled back. Let's just find something up the middle here, and getting across the line there quite handily.
Start from just inside Chicago territory for this first down play. Flip out right side, looking for extra space. On the far right side is Henry McGee. He picks up 5 before being corralled.
And he had a chance to break free there. You saw Cade Stevens, the wide receiver for Fort Worth, number 16, going over there to try to throw a block, just not quite able to get over and get set in time.
6-man rush, pass near side, turning upfield, Stephen Hacker out of a tackle, looking for more space and brought down near the 23-yard line. A good little leaking, just dump off route, goes for big yardage.
Yeah, and that's why you have these sometimes designed plays in the playbook, because, I mean, when you've got these super athletic receivers like Stephen Hacker who can make one guy miss and then break a tackle and then pick up 5 more yards, it makes it effectively expands your passing game to have a sort of running option built in where you're power running out of the passing formation.
Those rack yards, pass middle, Stevens inside the 5. First and goal, Toros, a beautiful post route executed to perfection by Dunhill.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really been the theme of this drive for Fort Worth is Marcus Dunhill reading the coverage, reading where the safeties and the corners are and placing the ball where they aren't. And what do you know? The receivers are running their routes just so, and it's allowed them to pick up a bunch of yards, Cade Stevens in particular.
Just outside the 5-yard line, they'll mark him as Aaron Alexander goes in motion from out of the backfield. They'll try and run it up the gut. And for most of the time, the Chicago defense has been on point, trying to clog those A gaps.
Yeah, nothing. Don't give them anything easy. Seems to have been the material given to them this week. Something that was drilled into their heads over and over.
Dunhill flip out near side for the first time in 7 games. Marcus Dunhill has a passing touchdown. He finds Stephen Hacker, and the Toros jump out in front.
Sweet relief from Marcus Dunhill, and he really, I feel, deserves it after he just completely captained that drive, exploiting the coverage, reading his receivers and the secondary. That is what Marcus Dunhill is able to do when he is at his absolute best. Floating around 150 yards now, Marcus Dunhill.
And he finally gets the monkey off his back as the extra point is up and good. A stellar night already brewing for Marcus Dunhill. 8 of 9 to begin the ball game with a touchdown and a lead for the Toros as we tick closer to the 7.5-minute mark here in quarter number 2. The SFL convention is headed to Baltimore for the 2025 convention, kicking off the league's 25th anniversary season, July 10th through the 14th. Join SFL Nation at the rooftop pool of our host hotel, the Hyatt Regency, looking out into Baltimore's Inner Harbor, and revel in the league's first convention on the East Coast. You can reserve your room now at the special group rate at simfl.net. Kickoff was taken for a touchback in the Chicago end zone, and so here's first and 10, fumble, and it's corralled, and it's going to be a scoop and score for Tobias Gordon, and the Toros double their advantage.
This game seems like it is primed for maximum shenanigans. SFL late night on Friday the 13th, and it's SFL late night Friday the 13th things happening. Interceptions and just a crazy defensive touchdown knocked loose, just a purely stick him, just hit him with the shoulder check, and Fort Worth are in out of nowhere within a matter of seconds in a commanding position.
First career SFL touchdown for Tobias Gordon, and it's the Toros 21, Warriors 7 in a blink of an eye.
Just so rapid fire. That would be the adjective I give this game. It's rapid fire, like one of the Naked Gun movies.
Take it down for a touchback. Again, now the Warriors trot back out of the field, now down by 2 touchdowns. Just some unfortunate back-to-back plays for them. Find themselves in this hole. Now they have to get back into this one as the Toros show blitz, and here they come. Pass, middle, caught. Dinamore, about 16 more yards for Patak.
Yeah, and again, it's the ability to read the secondary is so crucial as an SFL quarterback, and both these quarterbacks, to their credit, have done it well, recognizing when the safeties and the corners have receded and just being like, okay, fair enough, boop, little pass up the middle.
Go from a strong eye formation to now a weak eye as they send Buchanan Simons to the near side. 4-man rush, attack, looking middle, caught, looking behind the defense, and he's loose! Buchanan Simons all the way to the 1-yard line!
This is turning into a spectacular affair. This is just an incredible pass. We're going to see it again here. Just one lone receiver goes up on what is, like, in theory, a 50-50 ball, and he gets it and gets behind his man. They have to send the fastest corners, the fastest safeties, the fastest part of the secondary just to stop him on the one. That's a 64-yard reception,
with 42 of them coming after the reception. Weak eye formation. Attack looking for the end zone. Gets leveled by Delaney Nash. 2nd and goal.
That was like almost the whole offensive line getting blitzed there. Just a little bit of push and pull action.
Just the half-inch yard now. Toros stacking in the middle of the line. Attack, rolling, diving, touchdown! Chicago answer back with a score of their own.
Man, do not take your eyes off of this game because things are seemingly prone to change in a hurry. We saw those back-to-back scores from Fort Worth, the touchdown, the defensive interception, the defensive touchdown rather, and now Chicago with just an incredible 50-50 ball that sets them up for the touchdown. I mean, I'm excited as a football fan to see what comes next.
You aren't strapped in for this high-flying game. Well, I don't know what you're hanging on to at this point, because already we got 35 points, while Jack's data had the over-under at 38. If you had the under, you're sweating right now, because it's not even the end of the halfway point of the second quarter.
Yeah, point and a half. I think we're gonna beat it by a point or two, to be fair.
Here comes the return. Henry McGee all the way up to the 34-yard line on a short kickoff. That'll put the Toros in a pretty good starting field position to begin this next drive.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, you gotta, in games like this where it's very exciting and very back and forth, what you got to do as a player and what you got to be drilling into your player's head as a coach is, you know, you got to keep it calm. You got to, I know these exciting things are happening, but you got to keep your feet on the ground and not worry too much about what's happening and just do what you know that you're supposed to do correct.
Split backs here for the Toros here on first down, just under 6 minutes to play here in the first half. And off through the middle, Bacon sheds one tackler but cannot escape the second one.
That's been, it's as spectacular as the passing has been. I mean, really, both teams have struggled on the run.
Again, the Warriors playing now without two of their starting linemen. Young and Footer both went down with injuries on back-to-back plays. But it's been the likes of Sabo Kanan coming in relief from the linebacker spot to shore up that front seven and stop down the tailback for only a short pickup, setting up this 3rd and long.
Yeah, and both teams have been struggling, as we say. Combined on 19 touches, there have been 20 total rushing yards thus far.
It's coming, and Dunhill nearly picked off on the right-hand side by Matthias Citrion. The middle linebacker leaked out to the flat and nearly came away with the football.
Man, and both these teams really starting to stack up on the secondaries in the middle. Not they're sort of sending the safeties back and then clogging up the middle, really trying to prevent either team from getting those kind of crazy 50-50 balls that we've seen.
Second punt of the game, that by Rose for the Toros. The return by Finnemore. He broke 2 tackles and he couldn't escape number 3. But he does a pretty good job on this return to set up the Warriors with an opportunity to retie up this football game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just cannot be overstated how Chicago have really, I think, defied expectations so far. I mean, you see the statistics there, how even things have been. I mean, really hard to see much daylight in between these teams other than the 7 points for Fort Worth.
It's been not defense that need not apply, not passing game that need not apply. It's the run games that have been left in the dust as Patak looks middle, and it's picked again. Delaney Nash hauls it in and then gets thrown to the turf by Ryan Orlovsky, and Vincent's down. We've got a whole lot to break down in this play.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so first of all, I mean, that was another instance where we saw someone trying to go for one of those spectacular 50-50 balls, but it bounced up off of his hand and for the interception.
We take a look again. It is going to be a face mask on Ryan Orlovsky. It's going to give the Toros immensely good field position at the 18-yard line. So it'll be first and goal from the red zone after just a vicious face mask.
Yeah, I was gonna say you cannot do that at any point in the game. But man, emotions clearly running high, and as I say, that's why you got to drill into your players' heads as coaches. You gotta focus. You gotta calm down. You gotta focus on doing the right things because, man, lack of discipline can really cost you in the long run, especially in a game that's relatively close like this.
Alden, you wanted craziness here on Friday the 13th. We're getting it. It's pure chaos, as our producer
spoke it into
says.
existence. I didn't know I had magic football powers, but apparently I do.
There you go. And just to add more chaos, we have Henry McGee, the wideout, getting his first carry of the football game, going for no yards. Brings up second down. Dunhill with a blitz coming. Screen pass near side. McGee bounces off a wimpy tackler and gets enough yardage for a first down inside the 8-yard line. It's first and goal, Toros.
Yeah, man, all of a sudden, and it's because of the really good field position that they get there. I mean, just a great pitch and catch, broken tackles, gets past the sticks. And this is what you talk about, that bulletin board material that these coaches love to use about capitalizing on your opportunities. Marcus Dunhill has had a fantastic game, a touchdown pass, 9 for 11. One of those was an interception, but only one dropped pass or incomplete pass so far.
And off goes nowhere. Bacon denied by Doug Day.
Yeah, and it's so tough to run today. I mean, the top runner in this game is Ty Patak, who has 8 yards.
Next closest, Aaron Alexander with 7. It's been a very nip and tuck game in the running department.
A fullback, mind you.
That run, Bacon trying to drag a defender with them, just trying to muster more yards. He now takes the lead in terms of rushing yards, and it's only up to about 6 or 7.
It is a tight race, to be fair, but it really has been tough sledding. I mean, a lot of players have over 3 attempts and still struggling to stay in the positives, just trying to keep their head above water with these defenses, as tough as they are.
No one has double-digit rushing yards at the moment. Under 3 to go. Blitz coming. Dunhill. It's caught off the turf. Cade Stevens with the tremendous hand-eye coordination to get the score for Fort Worth.
Cade Stevens has been 3 for 3, make that now 4 for 4 with a touchdown. I mean, that is just a fantastic ability to stick with it there by Cade Stevens. Picked the ball, the path, had to kind of do a quick break fall, dropped to his back there, but it's a great sequence by Fort Worth to take advantage of the field position. And now Chicago have got to be disciplined. They've got to move the ball, but I think if you're Fort Worth, that is basically as well as that drive could have gone for you, even if you didn't have the face masking penalty to help you out there.
2 touchdowns on the day for Marcus Dunhill. And in total has 3 tonight, 2 passing, 1 rushing. He said, I'm done not having any touchdowns. I'm just going to go all out tonight against these Warriors, and it shows on the scoreline.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's the thing, the any given Sunday mentality in the SFL is very real. Chicago, as we mentioned, playing for pride in theory, but, we've had teams come back with crazy playoff tiebreaker scenarios before. It's not entirely out of the question.
These counter runs, managing maybe an average of just 1 or 2 yards of play, if that. There's only 2 yards there from J.W. Doyle. We close in on the 2-minute warning. Second down is another passing play. Attack, rolling, firing, deep, caught, 45-yard line of Fort Worth. Go the Warriors, and it's Fullerton with another great grab.
Yeah, and darn, the man coverage is impressive enough, but nearly double coverage on the play, and somehow just reaches it up into that little mailbox sized area for a quarterback to hit a receiver's hands. And that is just a fantastic job to start this drive for Chicago.
2-minute warning. Can the Warriors get another touchdown and keep this one close? You're watching Week 10 of a Simulation Football League. So attack 10 of 14 today for a little over 200 yards. Look to try and tally on some more as the run up the gut from Doyle goes nowhere, no gain. And that's a good sign for the Toros as E.K. Vincent comes back into the game after being injured earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this game has been pure chaos so far. There hasn't been a moment of a typical SFL game.
Pass, oh, great catch. Over the middle, climbing the ladder was Finnemore to move the sticks.
Yeah, and again, the passing has been so fearless from both of these quarterbacks, as we said. And again, am I a football wizard? It's possible. I was just mentioning how earlier in this game, how I would like it to turn into a quarterback duel. And to a degree, it sort of has, because both teams are struggling on the run, but both teams are scoring because of their quarterbacks.
Attack again. Almost a spectacular grab by Fullerton. Good defense by Adam Leach, and it's second down.
It's so tough. You see a ball go up into the air, you feel your stomach drop, because you know it's either going to be a big play or an interception. The way this game is going,
Rips
no room
off
for mediocrity.
Attacks left. 109 to go here in the first half. Underneath, drag is caught by Fullerton for a gain of maybe 5 or 6. As the Warriors take their first of 3 timeouts.
What a chance for us to breathe, both as commentators and as fans. Man, type attack, I was just getting ready to make a note, has been lethal up the middle, and you see it right there, breaking down over 200 yards up the middle.
It's been feast or famine. It's also where he's thrown both of his interceptions. His attack again targets the numbers right side, just a bit too high, incomplete. Looking for Finnemore, and the Warriors will have to settle for 3.
I'm always such an advocate of going for it. I feel like in a game like this where it's this close, but you got to take the points, though. I mean, against a tough offense like Fort Worth.
42-yard attempt from straight down the middle of those 2 hashes is pushed to the right, and it sneaks back left, splitting the uprights, and that's good. For the Warriors, they chop into the lead a little bit now. It's now a 28-17 ball game.
Yeah, and a little bit of a funky wind pattern there on that kick. Kind of had to push it to the right to get it into the middle of the uprights there. But Chicago will be happy to take the points. I mean, they'll certainly take 3 over 0. But if you're Chicago, you got to be thinking about capitalizing on opportunities down the stretch here.
And getting out of it is McGee. Another broken tackle. Henry McGee spinning and breaking another tackle. That's going to be at least the 3rd or 4th broken tackle on that return. And they are already set up on the other side of midfield.
I mean, you just have to kind of chuckle at it. Both these teams determined to put on a spectacular. I don't think you've seen a more spectacular. The only way you could see a more spectacular game than this is if the Harlem Globetrotters expanded into football, like started playing banana ball.
Well, right now they're playing both sides of the football. Whatever the banana ball or Harlem Globetrotters are lining up tonight, they've decided, oh, we can split ourselves on both sides and give our energy to both teams.
We got to take turns as the generals.
There you go. Dunhill middle, looking for Hacker. Incomplete as we quickly go back to Cameron Irvine back at SFL Studios for a game break.
Thank you, Tyler. Albuquerque jumped out to a 14-3 lead over Vancouver, but Ike McBride thumps Amar Bryant Jr. on her way into the end zone, 14-10. A good one over there as well. Middle of the second, back to you.
Thank you, Cam. 42 seconds left to go in this first half, and the scoring still seems to be at full tilt. Heavy blitz coming. Pass underneath, caught by Robert Garrett Jr., who stretches his arms for the first down, and now it's a Toro timeout to stop the clock.
Yeah, and they've got great field possession. They've got 2 timeouts in 36 seconds. So I think it's very possible that they are just able to work here. I mean, that 36 seconds is basically an eternity with those 2 timeouts. As long as you don't run it.
With 2 tight ends, 4-man rush, flip out right side. McGee on the move inside the 30-yard line, just shy of a first down. And another Toro timeout.
Yeah, and they've got the 1 left. They would certainly like to be able to keep that in case they've got to call a timeout to set up. But Marcus Dunhill has very much been passing up the middle as well. It's really been a viable route for both quarterbacks.
Bunch set near side. As Dunhill looks to throw, looking underneath, looking for Robert Garrett Jr., incomplete near the 20. It's 3rd down here for the Toros.
Yeah, looking, I almost think that if you can get the right formation, the right mismatch against Chicago, I think you definitely increase your odds of keeping that timeout, and you can get a conversion, then throw for 2 or 3 passes in the hurry up. But got to find that play is the key.
Toros a 3 of 4 on 3rd down today. Looking to convert another one. Caught. Stevens. Head on a swivel. That's a good first down. And the final timeout used by the Toros. Okay. Now, if anything goes inside the big white lines, this team's going to be hurrying back to the line to try and get their either field goal unit out there or to spike the ball.
Yeah, and I certainly, and again, all the more important, you just got to find that mismatch. That's the real secret to running the hurry up.
Roll out Dunhill. It is incomplete. Looking for Stevens. Good heads up defense by Ricky Robinson. 20 seconds to go. Toros have no timeouts.
Yeah, and the question now becomes, okay, how much time do we need to spike the ball realistically?
Blitz coming. Dunhill couldn't find Stevens on the right side. 16 seconds to go now in this first half. Still no sign of the kicking unit.
Yeah, you almost think that with 16 seconds you want to take the field goal and kick it back to them, but they're trying for all 7 points. They want a backbreaker as soon as they can.
Life is full of what ifs. Dunhill firing. Robert Garrett Jr. Can he get to the sideline? No. Robinson denies him. Time is going to run out.
They can't spike it. It's 4th down.
Time's going to run out. Rose and the field goal unit rush to the line, trying to get set, and they will not get set in time. And there's the horn. 28-17 at half. Toros have an 11-point lead. All right, Alden, let's break down that ending.
Let's try to unpack this. I mentioned before this game a guy that was drinking horse electrolytes. I think what we just saw is crazier than that. If this is a Truman Show situation, legally you have to tell me. And it's really been even for both of these teams. They've had really good passing attacks, but they've really struggled to run the ball. Type attack, 240 yards, a touchdown even with the 2 interceptions. Marcus Dunhill, 195 yards with 2 interceptions, and they're mirrored. The stats of Type Attack and Marcus Dunhill are mirrored. Type Attack's got 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Marcus Dunhill's got 2 touchdowns and an interception. And in that first game, you saw Marcus Dunhill. He got that rushing touchdown. He was passing really well, and he got that monkey off his back as far as not throwing touchdowns. So,
Alden, I think it's time we take a break. Presented by Brakes GPT.
We just pulled a full-size Taylor Swift helmet. Shout out to all our Swifties. Travis Kelce. This is a Giants Lawrence Taylor.
Patrick Mahomes.
Chad Johnson with the Ocho Cinco.
We have a Drew Brees.
Is that an O.J. Simpson jersey?
It's an Aaron Rodgers.
Oh my goodness.
Tom Brady! Tom Brady!
Break into the world of sports memorabilia collecting with Breaks GPT, featuring signed football jerseys, helmets, photos, and more. Breaks GPT offers you the shot at winning autographed and authenticated sports memorabilia at a fraction of the price. Join the community of collectors on our Breaks GPT Facebook page and lock in your shot at hitting a humongous headliner on our site, breaksgpt.com. And we welcome you back to the Stockyards here in Fort Worth, Texas. Tyler Falk and Alden Bleeker here on the call. Special shout out to Rochelle Colston and Joshua Dewar in the stats truck as we take a look at both quarterbacks, both having pretty decent games today. And it's just been neck and neck. The Warriors just haven't been able to have that more lethal edge, unlike the Toros, who start with the ball to begin half number 2 as Bacon gets the first call of the half. He gains 5 yards on the ground.
And finally, some positive yardage. Hasn't really been much to spread around as far as the running game for both of these teams, whether it's quarterbacks, fullbacks, halfbacks. Really, everyone struggled to break through the front line.
Four-man rush here for Chicago on second down. Pass is caught for a gain of 3 by Rutledge, the backup tight end, taking the spot of James Jennings for the week. Split backfield here now on third down. They try and run for with Bacon, and he gets it. Picks up 3 yards, and that'll move the chains.
Yeah, and just picking up the yardage, you know, it doesn't always have to be explosive, but and Fort Worth establishing the run game is going to be definitely a positive for them going forward if they're able to.
And off McGee, going nowhere. The Chicago defense kept him bottled up in the backfield.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really been the pressure sending on every single run. Most of the time it's been successful. Most of the time, or sometimes rather, some people have been able to get through, but just really has not been an option for most of the day. I think we're due for a big run sooner than later, to be honest.
Still no word on the 2 injured defensive linemen, P. Footer and Darko Young, who went out injured early in the ball game. That means John Ellinger and Connor O'Shaughnessy trying to do their part and keep this defense in tow as Bacon swirled around, and that allowed Aaron Gooden to get home. Another no-gain play.
They were able to try to bounce to the outside there, not quite able to get around, though. The secondary able to get to him.
3rd and 10 here for the Toros. Rollout, Dunhill unloads, and it's incomplete off the fingertips of the intended receiver, and that brings up 4th down.
Yeah, man, and what a huge stop by Chicago. I have been looking carefully and have not seen either of the either P. Fudor or Darko Young on the line so far. So a good job to get that stop without them.
And there'll be no fair catch called for by Cal Finnemore. I guess that's the way Gerald Smith likes there to be in returns. No fair catches. If you didn't catch that comment, go ahead and check out the game that went on earlier between Charleston and Charleston's game last block.
That's the that's the 3rd SFL league, the SimXFL.
SimXFL. Oh, it's been a wonderful night for football, hasn't it? This Friday the 13th is Tack gets rid of it in time to Doyle, who picks up 2 yards.
And again, it's the if you're not running it up the middle, these little pitch and catches to the outside are picking up decent yards, a little 3 yards here, 5 yards there. And it's really a reliable option when nothing's open up the middle.
There's 7 minutes to go now here in the 3rd quarter. Attack Sarns Arlovsky toward the near sideline. Late handoff as the guards try to come over and block for their tailback, but it does nothing when the defense is as alert and on it as Dexter Jackson and this Toros defense are.
Yeah, he's got a big tackle there. Already has an interception in this game. I mean, he's really trying to lock in for Fort Worth.
Chicago's come out with 4 wide receivers. What the Toros are combating with an extra linebacker for extra beef. And one of the beefy linemen gets home. It's Luther gone with our first sack of the game and a 4th down upcoming.
Well, his brother Jerry Degond is up there in the sack race with 5.5. He decides, hey, you know, it's a little bit of brotherly love in this game. He's going to get involved too.
Actually, I believe it's a father and son connection, Jerry D and Luther, as that sets up a Chicago punt.
It's paternal love.
There you go. As Royce gets this one away for Chicago, this is a fair catch called for by Henry McGee. Gerald Smith won't like that. And the Toros will start this next drive on the 29-yard line. Meanwhile, halftime over north of the border in the Pacific Northwest in Vancouver. It is Albuquerque 14, Vancouver 10. As the Adams looking to make a claim on one of the most winningest Pacific North teams in the West/Pacific Division in quite some time, as the Legion have had some sort of falling out this season and just not been their normal self. That's a great pitch and catch to Robert Garrett Jr. for a good chunk of yards.
And man coverage following him all the way there by Sabo Kanan, but just able to throw a little bit off frame is Marcus Dunhill and put the ball out there.
On 1st and 10 now from the 48-yard line. Dunhill hands off to Hacker, left side. He gets brought down by Sabo Kanan. 2nd down.
Just tough to run. It's going to be tough to run all day long, it seems like.
We have not seen a run go for longer than 7 yards tonight, as Dunhill flips it out for Hacker, breaks a tackle, gains 6, and another Toro 1st down.
Yeah, and to your point, partner, JZ Bacon, we do finally have someone with double-digit run yards. JZ Bacon has 11, but his long is, to your point, 7 yards. So even when the running has been there hasn't been much of it.
Stevens in motion toward the near side, has a defender for company as Chicago send a man blitz and they clog up those holes. It's been a very cat and mouse type of game in terms of the running game. We've mentioned all night long. These defensive coordinators have been locked in all night tonight.
Well, we use the term trench warfare to refer to those front lines, while sometimes in the trenches you just end up butting heads, throwing grenades at each other.
Blitz coming, caught by Hacker, had to reach behind him to haul it in. He turns upfield, picking up the 1st down.
And that's speaking of grenades, a pretty well placed one by Marcus Dunhill. The coverage there, a good job to pick up the coverage by the safety there for Chicago, but just a really great pass by Marcus Dunhill.
4-3 look out of Chicago as they send the blitz. Bacon out of 1, but cannot escape tackle number 2. Is a gain of 2 for number 47.
Well, you certainly can't fault Fort Worth for not being afraid to grind. Continuing to try to run, try to make the run work, and that's the only way you can try to break the spell, I think.
Flip out to Hacker on play number 7 of the drive. Is good for maybe just 1 more yard. That brings up 3rd and 7.
Yeah, man, and Doug Day quietly having a good, quite the day. Pardon the pun. 6 tackles so far, and clearly in the box, trying to get another one here.
This to tie the Toros' longest drive of the game at 8 plays. Blitz coming. And down goes Dunhill. A combination of the outside defensive ends, Connor O'Shaughnessy and John Ellenberger for the sack. And that pushes the Toros possibly out of field goal range. No, Amelia Rose is going to try a 50-yard attempt.
Yeah, and we've seen that the wind has done some funky things in this game, so this is going to be a toughie.
From the right hash, it swoops inside, and it's good. 14-point lead now for the Toros.
Man, and that is just some excellent kicking. Again, as we said, the wind has been sort of in play, but Amelia Rose does a fantastic job sort of pushing it to the side to push it into the center. That's one strong point for both these teams, is that their kickers have been quite smart in how they've been approaching that today.
Ties her longest field goal of the season, and her perfect season as far as kicking field goals continues. She's now 8 of 8. And that kickoff is taken down for a touchback. Warriors will start their own 20-yard line. We take a look again. Rushing the old school way of... Exactly. It's if you're looking for old school football, you might want to go and take a look at the other game up in Vancouver.
Vince Lombardi would have a conniption if he saw that run versus pass split.
Attack looking to throw. It actually takes off and runs and tries to lower the shoulder into Delaney Nash, and he's lucky to get up.
I mean, you usually don't see the quarterback try to bring the boom on the on the linebackers, but or on the defensive line there, but did a good job of it. Got to salute the bravery there by Type Attack.
Corners shading now toward the inside as Patak will just try and take off and run with it, and Vincent lays the lumber on him. 2-yard pickup for Patak. It brings up 3rd and short.
I mean, Type Attack is the most successful runner on the Chicago offense. 17 yards and a touchdown so far.
Split backfield here for the Warriors, and it's another QB run. 3 straight quarterback runs gets the Warriors a first down.
Yeah, and just grinding it out seems to be the approach of both these teams to the run offense. You know, you gotta try to get it online eventually, and neither team was really all that successful with it in the first half. So just grind away. I mean, you know, talk about that old school mentality. That's how it used to be. Just grind.
Pack will throw, and that is caught for a good chunk of yards to Kyle Finnemore.
Yeah, man, and it's, again, up the middle is really the Type Attack's favorite way to go. Crosses 250 yards there.
Waning moments of this third quarter. Arlovsky in motion. He's been quiet here in this second half. Attack under pressure, and there's Arlovsky, but he couldn't haul it in. A beautiful hit, jars the ball free. We'll give some credit there to Aiden Davis, and that deserves a like, because I don't think we've got enough likes on this video so far. So hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you've got notifications on so you won't miss a minute of SFL and SFLM action, and help the channel grow through your support. As Patak upended on the logo, Toro sandwich, and the muscles. A big old number 53, Jeff Duffy.
Oh, man, and blocks whiffed on the outside there. They just overwhelmed the offensive line with sheer numbers, and there was really no one left to pick him up there.
Third and a country mile. Here for Attack and the Warriors. This could be the final play of the third quarter. Attack pumps, rolls, has got a lot to go, and he can only get back to the original line of scrimmage. It's 4th down as we hit 000s in quarter number 3. That brings up quarter number 4 as you're watching the SFL on YouTube.
Presentation of the Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
As we welcome back to the Stockyards here in Fort Worth, Texas, Tyler Falk on the Blinker on the call. Happy to have your company here for one more frame of regulation here this Friday the 13th. Special thanks to Rochelle Colston and Joshua Dura, the stats truck, and of course Cameron Irvine back at SFL headquarters producing. It's been a pretty decent game here, Alden. We expected maybe a little bit more after a very chaotic first half, but Toros are trying to maintain their control over this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is you've got to, as we mentioned, you've got to be disciplined. You got to keep your cool and you got to do the things that you know you can do well. That's really the secret in a game where crazy things are popping off. And it's Friday the 13th at 10 p.m. kick time.
Bacon with a good 8-yard run, his longest of the game. That's now the game's second longest run. We finally had our first double-digit rush by type attack in the latter stages of the third quarter. And now the Toros set up a pretty good down and distance. Keep this drive rolling. Handoff through the right-hand side. Give him a first down to Dane.
Yeah, and finally these teams are starting to find that success with the running game. It's come little by little, but all of a sudden it's starting to become a more viable option as you would hope for.
They're going to need it to be that kind of play to call, because if Robert Garrett Jr. can catch cast with that, maybe you don't need to run out the clock. Maybe you can throw out the clock. 7-yard pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the mission objective for Fort Worth this drive is you're already in a dominant position. You've already you've gotten through the keep your foot on the gas phase of the game. So now I think you want to kind of let off, apply a little bit more of a feather touch and try to chew some time off the clock.
Bacon being chased down from behind is stopped up a yard shy by Doug Day and company.
Yeah, and almost getting the conversion there, 3rd and 1. It's a fairly short 3rd and 1 too. You almost feel like you run it again, or you start to find a rhythm if you're Fort Worth.
Right now, right in front of the center is wide open. I'd expect Dunhill to try and take off the middle, and he does. Gains about 3 more yards to move the chains and keep that clock rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good call. Exactly what I was going to say. I mean, just as important as the yardage is the ability to keep the clock moving. I mean, if you could chew a good 5 minutes off the clock, you'd be very happy as Fort Worth, no matter the result.
Dunhill shakes a loose tackler, but could not find his intended target. Oh, that would have been our breakaway play of the game. Instead, it's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, man, and just we've seen so many sacks this game, just the ability to stay up in the pocket there, showing some real toughness.
On formation, 2nd and 10. And they'll try and go to the ground with Bacon, trying to bust through tackles. Instead, he's busted up for no gain. A huge hit by O'Shaughnessy, who's had to come in relief for 2 of his counterparts who went out early in the game and have not returned, and they are not likely to return for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, and O'Shaughnessy's been having a pretty good game, certainly taking advantage of the opportunity. A tackle and a half of a sack, and a tackle for a loss.
3rd and 10. Dunhill's going to have to air this one out, and he does. Middle. Stevens couldn't haul it in. The defense was just in the right place, and the Toros will have to punt. And that gives the Warriors a little bit more life.
Yeah, it gives them a chance to fight back. It's sort of the opposite of Fort Worth, where they want to drive down the field and milk the clock. Chicago is going to get the ball in okay field position, and they're going to try to get down the field as fast as they possibly can. Which we've seen some 1-pass touchdowns or 2-play touchdowns that were set up by giant passes. So Chicago's going to be trying to replicate one of them.
So here's the situation for the Chicago Warriors in that Central Division. They are going to need every single team to lose, and lose a lot. and they are going to have to win out in order to even have a sniff at that division and possibly even a playoff spot. And it has to start here. They have to show us the promise that they were showing us while they were in Seattle, now in Chicago, and they try and do this little cutback run that just hasn't working. 5 defenders were untouched on the line, Alden, and they get back for a loss of 1. If I'm Chicago next week, that play is gone.
Yeah, it's gone, and you got to have a, in case of emergency, break glass button for,
And for insult to injury, it's another sack. Jerry Degon is there, and it's becoming a sack party here in the latter stages of the game.
And you got to have a break glass in case of emergency button in case your run game is not working as it has been, as it has really been a struggle today, because Ty Patak's a great quarterback. He's had 258 yards and a touchdown, but you can't rely on one aspect of your game.
Oh my goodness! An immaculate interception by Aiden Davis. Wow!
That is a fantastic catch on the interception. Just man coverage, realizes this throw is going to be a little short, reaches up, puts his hand out. I mean, that is as athletic a stab as you're going to see by a cornerback there or a linebacker.
That's our nice hands catch of the game, brought to you by Retroid. Put a Retroid handheld in your hands and play the only video game with your player in it. SFL 4K23 to Aiden Davis. As Bacon, shaking and baking for 12 yards and a first down inside the 20.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the Jay-Z Bacon that we're more used to seeing from Fort Worth. Finds the space up the middle, and it's, oh man, it's the trench warfare that really sets up the space for him.
Five to go here in the fourth quarter. Toros looking to ice this one. Blitz coming, handoff, Dane right side, who just gets clobbered by Aaron Gooden for a loss of 1.
Yeah, man, and again, it's both teams are even when they're succeeding with the run game, they go right back to struggling. It's just one of those things. Just sometimes there's something in the air.
Dunhill, middle, caught. Gain of 14. It's first and goal. A good catch from Henry McGee. And the Toros are on the doorstep of claiming victory number 5 this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this touchdown would be an absolute backbreaker. It's already, every second feels like a gunshot in the ears of Chicago, or the sound of distant cannons, but those cannons, those gunshots are getting closer and closer to their door with every second.
Blitz coming, flip out, Hacker out of 1 and dragged down near the 3-yard line. Second and goal.
Yeah, time stopped if you're trying to look on the positive for Chicago, and they've proven that they can get some clutch stops in the red zone, by sending the pressure.
Chicago trying to form a shield wall one last time to keep division hopes alive. Dunhill rolling, gets a block, touchdown, total number 4 for Marcus Dunhill, and the Toros break away from Chicago, as that's our Breaks GBT breakaway play of the game. Sports memorabilia breakers and collectors, you never know whose autographed helmet or jersey you might hit. Check them out at breaksgpt.com. And just like that, the Toros look to have victory number 5 this season well and truly locked up.
Yeah, absolutely. Fort Worth have never looked in doubt in this second half. They really did a good job putting their foot on the gas pedal, just grinding away on that run game when it wasn't really going their way. And sometimes persistence is the key to success. If you get knocked down 99 times, that 100th time that you get up, you're gonna finally succeed.
Alden, I've got to say, this has got to be the best that Marcus Dunhill has looked all season long.
Without question. Without question. 258 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, I know we've still got 5 minutes left, but I'm certainly comfortable to say that I'm at least leaning toward giving him the MVP.
Are you doing a Rick meter lean? Is the Alden meter leaning in favor of Fort Worth?
It's leaning in Fort Worth. It's like there's still that 2 to 5% chance, but it's an uphill battle for Chicago. I'll say.
Everything has to go right. Finnemore with a good 9-yard completion gets bounced or steps out of bounds before being hit.
But
stops the clock with triple fours.
But we know how often crazy things happen in the SFL. That's just part and parcel of the league. You know, it's not out of reach until the clock hits 000 sometimes.
Empty backfield, 2 tight ends on the line. They send Doyle in motion as a wide receiver. So you only have 2 true wideouts. A situation where you need to march down the field, and that one is nearly picked off again by Delaney Nash.
Man, Delaney Nash has been lurking like a pit viper hunting after a rat that's above its nest. I mean, just in the perfect position at all times to pounce on these balls.
Quick hitter, middle caught. Finnemore. So just past the 35, and now they go to the hurry up.
Well,
good decision here. Good decision for the Warriors. They tried to hit the same play, couldn't connect this time. As we go back to Vancouver for another game break with Cam and Irvine. Cam, what do you have?
You're never going to believe this, Tyler. Albuquerque's special teams woes continue. That was an extra point. Missed, and that keeps it a 1-score game, 20-13 in the fourth. Vancouver has 150 rushing yards. They're on the move. Back to you.
Thank you, Cam. That's unfortunate for a very young kicker in Albuquerque. Trying to give his team an extended lead. Can't do it. 3rd and 5 now as Dunhill is sitting on the sideline watching his counterpart. Type attack gets sacked again by Jerry Degon. 2nd sack of the night. 4th total sack by this defensive line crew for the Toros.
And it's all about family for the defensive line of Fort Worth. Both of the Gons have made significant contributions and sending the pressure, and they're going for it. I like this.
They have to go for it.
They have to. I agree. You're right. You're absolutely right.
11 yards to the sticks. Patak unloads, incomplete. Looking for Arlovsky at the 50-yard line. The hit jars the ball free. And the Toros will take over in prime field position to try and salt away the rest of this game. And for the Warriors, it's another day of what could have been.
Yeah, and man, just the crazy shenanigans that happened in that first half. The interception returned immediately by an interception, the touchdown double fire into a defensive touchdown by Fort Worth. This game has really been, I think, about as spooky and exciting a Friday the 13th game as you could hope for.
Hacker gets face masked. 2nd face mask call. This time it's an incidental one on Chicago, so it's only a few yards, but it still puts them inside the 20-yard line. And it's just been undisciplined. It's been miscues, and unfortunately for Chicago, it's going to result in another loss tonight.
And if I could make a comparison, it really reminds me of the the Jameis Winston, Lovie Smith era of the Buccaneers. Just, you have potential, you have good players that are doing good things, and then you just shoot yourself in the foot down the stretch with penalties and not capitalizing on opportunities. It really feels like that, 2010s Buccaneers team.
Baking with the call, gains 2 yards, and unfortunately for Chicago, the Chicago franchise, formerly in Seattle, this game wasn't close. As the first time these two teams met, they only lost to these Toros here at the Stockyards by 3, 34-31.
Yeah, and that's another factor.
It's going to be a 21-point margin here at the moment.
That's another factor. Both these teams have a combined 14 seasons in the league, but their only meeting was that Fort Worth home win, 34-31, and they're going to take another one at home, a more decisive one this time.
Kane looking for blockers, and he gets the first down, first and goal for the Toros. Unfortunately, they don't have enough space on the field to try and milk the rest of this clock, and so either we'll see some more scoring, or we might see maybe this defense for the Chicago comes up with something. Meanwhile, that extra point that went wide left for Albuquerque, Alden,
oh my gosh,
it comes back to bite the Adams immediately. 20-20, midway through the fourth quarter up in Vancouver. Check out that game after you're done here. Right side, Bacon out of one. Bacon, touchdown, Toros. Icing on the cake. 44-17, Fort Worth with a commanding victory here tonight.
Yeah, commanding is the word for it. I totally agree with you. And it looked close for a long time. The statistics were even, the score was even. So it was really just the second half, the second half difference, as the kids would say today. And the stats are still very similar. It's that honest to God, I really do think that the fact that the Toros were able to set up those rushing yards, and the fact that Marcus Dunhill was able to rush so well on top of throwing so well, is really the story. And you see exemplified there, the second half there, well over triple or even over quadruple the total yards for Chicago have Fort Worth.
As the Toros stampede past Chicago with 2:08 to go. Now it really is playing for pride. As we noticed in the past few seasons of the SFL, you have to have at least 6 wins to have a shot at making the postseason. And in the last few seasons, you've had to have close to 7 wins to not even be guaranteed a spot in the postseason. And so things look pretty dire at the moment for Chicago in terms of this season, but it could very well mean that Chicago could be in a good place for the draft.
That's true. And also, you know, as you say, playing for pride is not insignificant. You know, these players are going to continue to develop and work on their strategies, but also there's always a chance to play spoiler in your division.
Unfortunately for the Chicago-Seattle franchise, their streak of 500-plus season average in terms of win-loss, they were 8-4, season 21, season 22, 7-5. Unfortunately, that streak will end here with this game. That pass over the middle is caught for the first time tonight by Paulie Truth. First time we've called his name and number tonight, as for the first time since season 20, Chicago will have a losing record.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, and that DNA is there for Seattle. I do think, and I'm certainly rooting for them to turn things around. You know, you want to see as much competitive football as you can in the SFL. I do think, as you say, being in a good position for the draft, and maybe
blitz coming. Sack again. 5th sack of the ball game for these Toros. It's Jeff Duffy with this one, sack number 5. And Patak, surprised he doesn't have any more green stains on his jersey, because it seems like no matter what he's done tonight, he's had to pry himself from this field on numerous occasions.
I don't know if you need more receivers for type attack, or if you need more offensive line, or if you need to patch up your defense. But I think between the draft and some free agency, there's certainly some moves that need to be made.
Attack, middle into a sea of blue and very little white jerseys. Ball will fall harmlessly to the turf, bringing up 3rd and long. And meanwhile, for the Warriors, they will stay on the road next week to take on division rival, the Motor City V8s in Detroit. as Motor City's trying to come around, maybe put a second half for the season, come back together, as that pass to the left side for Arlovsky is incomplete. And Stone in on coverage. And it brings up fourth down, probably the final offensive play here for the Warriors if they cannot convert.
Yeah, and Fort Worth, to your point, this is a good warm-up for them because they've got their 2 remaining division games over the next 2 weeks. So you come into that with a little bit of confidence.
Four-man rush, flip out underneath. Doyle's going to go nowhere. Only a 2-yard gain. Vincent will take him down. That's a turnover on downs, and the Toros will trot out their offense for a few kneel downs, and that should do it. A very lackluster fourth down play, has to be said.
I think the stats truck has sort of surmised the story of this game quite well. It's that this was a close game at one point. The stats were even, just not the score. And it was really that second half instance of that we see sometimes where teams just put their foot on the gas coming out of the second half or the first half break and never look back.
Run from Dunhill up the middle, and it'll be an injury timeout. Unfortunately, just an injury to insult Aaron Gooden, who he himself has played a phenomenal game, led the team in tackles with 8. Now it gets the field of play. As now the Toros will have to get a first down to really ice things here. Meanwhile, for these Toros, they will stay here at home and play the Louisiana Revolution in week 11. Revs still trying to find their footing on offense as the Toros will try and keep the momentum rolling with back-to-back wins here to move them to 5-3. Final timeout called by Chicago. And we want to remind you that tomorrow, week 10 continues, headlined by a pair of 500 teams at home. Lexington and Bossier City taking on 2 of the better teams in the league, Baltimore and DC, plus Queen City, Indianapolis, and Los Angeles, Mexico City. Kickoff starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. You can catch all of the action, as always, right here on SFL YouTube. Vancouver, and there's a run by Dunhill. First down and more, and he slides down inside the 20. Have a day, Marcus Dunhill. It's been a banner day for him and for these Toros, and that will do it.
Yeah, that would certainly be it. Just 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, 271 yards. I am willing to give the game ball to Marcus Dunhill at this point, although some of his supporting players had quite a good game. Jay-Z Bacon, despite the difficulties of the run game for both teams, had 55 yards. Cade Stevens had 100 yards. Stephen Hacker over 50. Robert Garrett Jr. over 50. And Henry McGee averaging 10 yards on per catch despite not getting up to 50 yards. So it was a complete offensive performance for Fort Worth, led by Marcus Dunhill.
And how about the defensive performance for the Toros? Take a look at this stat line. 4 TFLs recorded by Chicago tonight. 11 by the Toros defense. There was literally nothing that Chicago could do in the second half. Yes.
The 5 sacks were absolutely brutal. Just as I believe you mentioned, green stains on type attack shirt. I mean, he is going to rack up quite the dry cleaning bill, or the equipment manager is anyway, because those sacks were just made all the difference. Both Jerry Degon and Luther Gon getting involved, and Jeff Duffy as well.
Final kneel down of the ball game, and it is official. The Fort Worth Toros moved to 5-3 with a 45-17 victory over the Chicago Warriors, as the Warriors move to 1-7 and more than likely out of postseason contention, unfortunately. Now begins the work to renew their resolve heading in for the end of the season and for the draft upcoming here in December. Eldon, final thoughts on tonight's game?
I mean, Chicago showed, I think, in this game that despite the loss by a relatively wide margin in the grand scheme of things, I think they showed they have the pieces that can be built. You've got the pieces for your jigsaw puzzle. There's just one or two pieces that you gotta go back to the store and find, and I think you'll really have something. You gotta make the defense more consistent, you gotta patch up the run game, and you gotta add some more weapons to make type attack even more consistent than he already is. But I think if you do those things, you're certainly gonna be in a good shape.
Well, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Rochelle Colson and Joshua Dewar in stats, and for Cameron Irvine producing. He's been all the Bleaker. I've been Tyler Falk, and we'll see you tomorrow for more SFL action. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.